Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Hello, to and welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back, I should say, to regularly scheduled gameplay. Yesterday was a little different. Yesterday we had a special event, a fun retrospective marathon, as my first streaming day of the week. And if you missed out on it, shame on you. How dare you? Unacceptable behavior. I'm just kidding, of course. It's perfectly fine. You could catch up on it over on DSPGaming on YouTube whenever you would like. And I have to apologize because last night was a pain in the ass. You know, did this marathon, tried to get all the footage up on DSPGaming as soon as possible, and YouTube gave me nothing but problems. Errored out multiple videos, processed videos, and then said didn't work, so I had to re-upload. It is finally live in its entirety for those who maybe were waiting around for the damn thing to actually be there. Did a lot of fun stuff yesterday, including some travel vlogs, some WWE simulation matches, playthrough parts, countdowns. Some of it was so funny, I actually laughed to the point where I was crying. Because some of this stuff is from the past. It's just so amazing to watch back and say, holy shit, can't believe that stuff even happened. And it was a good time. It was absolutely a good time. I hope that you guys will check it out if you were not here live and if you missed out. That's why I archive everything over on DSPGaming, because I understand not everyone can be here live all the time, right? But for those of you who were, thanks. It was a good time. I'm looking forward to the next one. When will the next one be? 2027. Decided to wait 7 years before we do another one. No. I don't know. I don't know when the next one will be. It depends on a lot of factors. Usually I do the retrospective events every few months or so as a celebration of hitting a subscriber goal. So we'll see what happens here over time and go from there. All right, guys. So good stuff. It was a good time. Today we get back to regularly scheduled gameplay. We go back to full-on gameplay streams for the next 5 days, which I hope is okay with you guys. And I got a few ideas of what I'd like to do. Okay, first of all, we've got some unfinished business, as they say, in regards to a couple games, a couple playthroughs that we've been doing, right? We got The Last of Us Part 2, which we are still in the midst of. We're definitely, I would say, heading into the final third of the game, if not already in the final third of the game. For people who've beaten the game, they're basically saying 2 more streams and I'm done with it. All right? So today, we continue on. We're in Seattle Day 2 with Abby, who has teamed up with Lev, L-E-V, to travel through Seattle to get to the hospital to get medical supplies to try to help someone whose arm was smashed into Jell-O. Really disgusting. Gruesome, nasty, torturous kind of nasty shit in this game. And we need to help them. So we're trying to get medical supplies. That's our goal, at least where we are right now. All right? I don't know, what else is going to happen in this game. I don't know what's coming up. But that's where we are right now. We're trying to help someone whose arm was pulverized into pulp by getting medical supplies. All right? And we'll see where the game takes us today. From what I'm to understand, there's still more coming. It's not like, we're at the very end. We're not. Apparently, there's still more twists to the story and more coming. So, hope you guys are ready for more twists, turns, and Last of Us 2 gameplay. All right? Reminder, I said that I am going to review The Last of Us. All right? When I complete the game, which is likely going to be this weekend, I'll tell you the schedule in a second, I am going to review it. Okay? It'll be a live review that'll also be archived for YouTube. So, tonight, it's a continuation of Fire Emblem 3 Houses on the late stream. 2 hours of gameplay. I'm trying to remember where we were. I believe last time around we did some optional combat. And I think now we're heading into the end of the month, which is the major mission, of the month. The major story mission. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be tackling tonight, I think. So that should be fun as well. See some advancement there. Tomorrow, we return back to SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated on the Xbox One. From what I'm being told, it's a strong chance I'll beat it tomorrow. At this point, I am trying to go for a 100% run because it seems doable. It seems pretty viable that I would be able to go 100% in the game because so far I've been able to get most, if not all, of the collectibles that have been available. And it seems pretty fun to be able to try to get all of them, quite frankly. So I think we will try to do a 100% run in this game. There's apparently three, ouch, my hand is killing me. I'm trying to crack all the joints, stretch them out here. There's apparently 3 major worlds left in SpongeBob. All right? So depending on how challenging they are and how much time they take, we may wrap up SpongeBob tomorrow. If we don't wrap it up, chances are it'll end up being kind of like a late night stream to wrap it up, because I don't think there's going to have enough content in the game for 2 more streams, quite frankly. But we'll see. All right? So that's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow night, Friday night, my weekly throwback old school Street Fighter stream. 2 hours of retro Street Fighter fun. I hope you'll join me for that as usual. And then on Saturday, I'm hoping to wrap up The Last of Us 2. I don't know if we will, but that would be nice if we did. If the gameplay wrapped up, and if we have enough time, I'm going to review the game live on stream. I hope I have enough time to review this game on stream Saturday. But I don't know how long it is, and I don't know how much is left. But that's kind of the goal, is see if we can finish the game on Saturday and maybe review it. Okay? Saturday night, it's going to be... Saturday night is going to be the conclusion of Pokemon Swords, the Isle of Armor DLC. This is a DLC we played last week and a little bit this week. And all we've got to do left is fill the Pokedex. We've got like 15 Pokemon left. I believe most of them are either going to be breeding in order to get the de-evolutions, or, trading to get the evolutions. I'm almost positive that's what, like, the majority of it is at this point. I may be off a little bit. Maybe there are still a Pokemon or 2 we need to catch, but for the most part, I think we've gotten all of them. So, that'll definitely be a late night chill stream on Saturday night to finish up Pokemon for now, and then Pokemon will go on hiatus until November, when the next DLC comes out. Okay? Sunday is completely up in the air, and here's why. If we didn't finish Last of Us, or if we didn't finish SpongeBob or whatever, then those will probably continue. But if we did finish them up, then Sunday I've got completely open. And I have a few ideas in my head of something I'd like to do, because basically I'm looking for kind of filler content. I'm looking for something that I can do to fill a few streams before the new releases hit this month. So I'm strongly considering, very strongly considering, that I will be doing the Sleeping Dogs DLCs. If you remember, recently, I just played Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition and finished up my mainstream playthrough of the story right before we got into The Last of Us Part 2. But the game has 2 narrative-based DLCs that I didn't play, and I would actually like to play those for variety's sake. Okay? So maybe I'll go back and we'll do that just for variety's sake for a couple streams. It certainly won't be anything super exciting, because I've already played them years ago, and certainly some people will complain and say, meh, meh, meh. But the thing is, I really don't have much else I can do, because I'm only going to have a few empty streams to kind of fill, and then we're going to have new content releases coming up later in the week. So I'm thinking what I can do is balance the Sleeping Dogs DLCs with Fire Emblem 3 Houses as main streams for a little bit, maybe just a few days. And then when new releases start coming out, they'll be the priority, although I will balance it with some of that stuff as well. Here's my thought process, okay? Let's say we finish both SpongeBob and The Last of Us 2 by the end of Saturday. Then my thought process is Sunday, during the day, we'll do some Sleeping Dogs, all right? And then maybe Monday, during the day, all right, we'll do Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Then maybe Sunday night, maybe Sunday night, we'll actually go back and do like a stream of Animal Crossing, which I haven't done now in a while, but there will be all new content, including being able to swim under the water to collect animals. And also we have a new Islander and all kinds of stuff going on in Animal Crossing. It's been weeks. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do like a late night chill stream of Animal Crossing like Sunday night. And then Monday night, I could do whatever. Maybe I'll even do a late night Minecraft stream. Minecraft has had significant updates. They have the new update now where the Nether is updated with all the new biomes and everything. So if I played Minecraft, there'd be a lot to do in Minecraft. Okay? So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the week is today, Last of Us 2 and Fire Emblem. Okay? Tomorrow, SpongeBob and Street Fighter. Saturday, the possible conclusion of Last of Us 2 and the review, paired with the conclusion of Pokemon Sword. Sunday, DLC of Sleeping Dogs with Animal Crossing. And then Monday, Fire Emblem with some Minecraft. All right? That means I would be off on Tuesday for, my normal day off. I return on Wednesday, and we'd probably do more of the Sleeping Dogs DLC because there's 2 of them. I don't know how long they are, but, maybe I could continue on with that. And then probably Wednesday night would be maybe, I could maybe do Morrowind, or maybe we could do more Animal Crossing, And then Thursday is Ask the King. All right? Thursday is Ask the King. I know that sounds crazy because we just did another a special event. This is 3 back-to-back special events. We had the Vest Fest, then we had the retrospective event, and now we're going to have Ask the King. Ask the King is 1 week from today. All right? So, guys, please post up your questions. I actually don't know if I set up a command for this. Shit, I don't think I did. I'm going to check on this. No, I didn't. I didn't set up I need to do that. I got to set up a chat command so that it pops up in the chat periodically so that you guys can submit your questions for Ask the King. Because I didn't do that because I wanted people to do the retrospective stuff first. So I got to remember to do that later, to add that in so that people will start nominating or asking questions for next week's Ask the King. Okay? So yeah, that's going to be a Q&A show. Likely that night, that Thursday night, I'll probably do some Fire Emblem, 3 Houses. And then maybe that Friday, it'll be the premiere of Deadly Premonition 2 on the Switch, paired with old school Street Fighter. Chances are I'll probably be playing Deadly Premonition 2 a few times over the weekend, being that it is the major new release of that week. And paired that off with, the other playthroughs I'm doing, like Fire Emblem with chill stuff at night. And then, of course, that week after, we've got Ghost of Tsushima and Paper Mario coming out on the same day. And that's going to be pretty busy once that happens, all right? So that's what you can expect. Looks like in the next couple of days, 2 concluding games with Last of Us 2 and SpongeBob, especially a review of The Last of Us 2. I know a lot of you are going to be interested in. Then we're going to do some DLC of Sleeping Dogs, pair that off with more Fire Emblem progress. We're going to have a little bit of chill stream stuff returning over the weekend. We're going to have Ask the King coming up later on in the week, and then a new game with Deadly Premonition 2. So good stuff coming up in the month of July. All right? Sounds good? I hope so. Outside of that, guys, it's a new month. Today's July 2nd. Guess what? A new subscriber goal has been set. That is correct. If we hit 725 subscribers at any point during the month of July, that means we're going to be bringing back the Viewer's Choice event. You guys will be able to nominate and then vote on a game that I will do a full playthrough of here on stream, more than likely starting sometime in August. Okay? Pretty awesome. Some of the previous Viewer's Choice events have turned into really awesome playthroughs, including Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Tooie, the current SpongeBob playthrough I'm doing, the current Fire Emblem playthrough that I'm doing. Previous games, man, we had so many different ones. I remember Spyro the Dragon was one. Various Sonic games, right? The Persona series. These were all games that were because the viewers requested I play them. All right? So that's going to be coming up, and I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are excited too. But we have to hit the subscriber goal for the month. And then we will get to it. Fair enough? So, my nose is itching. So, good stuff. Please consider subscribing this month if you're not subbed. You get many different benefits for being a sub on this channel, including access to I think at this point it's like over 40 emotes. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure there are. But also, you get a cool chat crown badge to show how long you've been a supporter. You don't have to watch ads when I run them during ad breaks. There's many benefits to being a sub. So give it a look, okay? Please consider it. In addition, the Vest streak continues. Yesterday, during the special retrospective event, we more than doubled the tip skull. So I counted it as a two Vest streak day, just like I told you guys I would. So we're up to 162. Even though there was only one stream yesterday, I counted it as a double Vest streak for the streak's purposes. We're up to 162, which is awesome. Thank you, everyone, for your support and continuing on the Vest streak. If the Vest streak continues, first of all, thank you again. It's pretty awesome that it is. I can't believe it's still going to this day. the vest streak. If it continues, it hits 200. I've got some special plans for 200. Yes, we're going to do some kind of another live DSP tries it, but I got something special planned as well that I wanted to do. And I'll continue to try to brainstorm some interesting stuff for that next celebration if we hit it. Because I'll be honest, it's going to be tough. This last streak, getting to 150, was very difficult. There were a few nights where, like last week's Street Fighter stream, oh my god, it almost ended. I had to go extra time in order for us to hit the streak, which really was frustrating. But we did it. But I get the feeling that this streak is nearing its end. I really do. And I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just being a pessimist or a negative Nancy about this. But I saw it almost end a couple times, and it kind of got me like thinking, you know, this thing's been going on for so damn long. It's been crazy positive, but maybe we're nearing the end now. Okay? I guess we'll see. But if you would like to see the streak continue, please consider tipping the stream today, supporting the stream. I appreciate everyone who does. Thank you very much for that support, guys. Also, I should call out, today is the 2nd of July. That means that those of you who pledged to my Patreon, those of you who pledged to my Patreon, in the month of June, your pledges have processed. And I have contacted you on patreon.com via a private message describing how to get access to your perks for the month. So check your private messages. By the way, I have mentioned this last couple of months. It seems like sometimes the private messages on Patreon aren't working very well, because I used to be able to get notified when people message me, and a couple people told me they didn't. I didn't get their messages. You can email me, darksidephil@hotmail.com, with your information as well. If you don't seem to be getting responses from me, chances are I'm not getting your messages on Patreon for some reason, okay? So thanks to everyone who pledged to my Patreon in the month of June. I appreciate that very much. Check your inboxes, and, you know, I will do my best to get you the perks as soon as possible. Fair enough? I hope so. Okay, so we got all the busy work out of the way. All the stuff I wanted to really talk about. Sadly, today is not a great day. When it comes to bullshit on the internet and all kinds of fucked up stuff in real life, man. And I don't mean anything that applies to me. Thank God, I'm okay. And I hope all of you out there are okay as well. But overnight, basically the internet exploded with crazy amounts of allegations against people in particular in the fighting game community. Allegations of sexual misconduct and allegations of, pedophilia. It's like, Jesus Christ, really? Not good. Insanely bad. Terrible shit stuff that I don't like to read about. In particular, this seems to be majorly affecting the Smash Brothers community, where it's come out that people who've been competitive Smash players, you know, at various parties and occurrences, basically doing really nasty stuff. I don't even really want to talk about it. It's fucked up, you know? And it's bad, because apparently it's not just one, it's not just two, it's like a big group of people in the competitive Smash community, who are affected by this. And a lot of people are like, well, they're done. They're canceled. You know what I mean? Now that, in particular, do I have any experience in the competitive Smash community? Not really. I've watched it. You know, I've attended EVOs. I've watched competitive Smash gameplay. I don't know the players. I don't know the situations. It's just horrible to hear this shit come out like that. Like, oh my God. And it's not just one person, not just two people. It's like, oh my God, there's story after story coming out now. What the fuck is this? Like, what the hell is going on, right? Pretty terrible. And then one that sadly really resonated with me, because it has nothing to do with the Smash community, all right? But someone who I've had dealings with many, many times over the years as part of the West Coast competitive fighting game community organization staff, including EVO and other West Coast tournaments, and a guy who also attended other tournaments that I've been to, Mr. Wizard, who is known as the CEO of EVO, accused of some pretty heinous shit. In a nutshell, Apparently, at an arcade called Sunnyvale Golfland that I'm very well aware of because I went there once as a kid. It was known as the West Coast Arcade in California, where all the top players came from. They all kind of played there. And this is where most of the major American competitive players played and trained. Okay? So apparently, back in the day, we're talking, some 20 years ago, Mr. Wizard was a local there, and apparently the allegations are stating that he basically paid or bribed underage kids, boys, to get into their underwear and jump into the wading pools of the golf course. He thought it was funny. Now to be clear, apparently back then what they're saying is, as I've told you guys many times, the arcade culture was very much a boys club hazing kind of a deal. It was almost like college behavior. Okay? Where anything went. At one point when I was in an arcade, a guy who was a local player picked me up. I'm not even kidding. I was a young teenager. This guy was probably in his 20s, and he was a big muscular guy. Picked me up, spun me upside down, and pretended like he was going to do a spinning pile driver to me. Physically. In the arcade. Now, luckily, he didn't drop me on my head. And, quite frankly, I didn't even care. Because, back then, that was the kind of shit that people did in arcades. It was rampant. This kind of behavior where people would just do whatever. It was really like a locker room mentality. It was like a locker room mentality of a bunch of guys joking, doing really gross stuff, stupid shit to each other. Okay? All the time. This was rampant. So, I'm not surprised to hear, there were dares that went on at a Street Fighter related arcade where people were doing weird shit for money and daring each other to do these weird shit, right? But the thing is, 20 years ago, that seemed like it was innocent shit. It did. Like, oh my God. So there were some local kids at an arcade, pay them to strip down to their underwear so that they jump in this cold water and they freeze their asses off. Right? Now you hear that story and you're like, that's disgusting. Right? You have an underage boy getting down, nearly naked and soaking wet. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? You think of that, it's just different, Now, the worst part of it, that's right. See, Bionichu is, of course, spoiling the story by talking about it in the stream chat already. The worst part is that there is a guy who I actually know this guy, okay? I chatted with this guy personally in IRC chats, Street Fighter IRC chats for years and years. Back in the day when I was a trollish asshole, when I was like the ultimate fucking Street Fighter troll. I was a dickhead. I was one of many, by the way. It wasn't just me who acted immature like an asshole back then, 20-some years ago. It was many people in the community. I told you, it was like this locker room mentality of assholes just pranking each other, being dicks to each other, saying gross shit to each other, okay? But this guy was one of the other people in IRC chats with me who used to talk about Street Fighter and hang out, and I knew he was from the West Coast. I knew he was from that arcade, Sunnyvale Golfland, and I obviously didn't know much about the ins and outs of the shit that happened at Golfland, but everyone always knew that there was weird shit that happened at arcades, and there were weird stories in the fighting game community of stuff that was like, that doesn't sound right, but it just becomes kind of like an urban legend kind of a deal. It does. And people don't discuss it openly, but there's always behind the doors talk about weird shit that happens. I can tell you right now, I've heard some rumors of stories, people doing weird shit in hotel rooms to each other. Some of it sexual. Gross shit. And you're like, was it true or not? I don't know, and I don't fucking care. I'm not involved in that shit, I never was, in my career as a fighting game player, I never got involved in any weird shit. That was not what it was about for me. As I've already talked about this when we were talking about allegations against Angry Joe for sexual misconduct and stuff. I told you guys the years when I went out there and I did stuff in regards to the fighting game community or even in regards to the conventions, circuits, and stuff that I went to as a YouTuber, I never, ever went outside the realm of being there for work or competition. Never. Okay? Never fucked around with this kind of stuff. But these stories always go around. So in regards to the story in particular, the story is that this person, when they were underage, they're Asian, and the joke is, again, this disgusting locker room joke talk, right? that Asians have small dicks, right? I wouldn't fucking know, nor do I care. But that's just a stupid talk thing that people talk about. And apparently the rumor is that I guess Mr. Wizard challenged this kid who was underage at the time to show him his dick to prove that he wasn't like a small dick guy or something. Think how stupid this sounds, right? And so apparently there was some shenanigans going on. They even said that there was a hole that was drilled inside of the stall at Sunnyvale Golfland where people would look at each other in the stalls and shit. Fucked up, disgusting stuff. And apparently in this case, this kid was paid to show Mr. Wizard his dick to prove how big he was. And the kid didn't know any better. He's like, oh, I'm getting free money. I don't care. But think about how disgusting that is, right? That's nasty. I don't want to fucking think about it, all right? And so Bionicry says he was paid only $20. I didn't know that. That's fucked up. Now, all I could tell you, all right, is my perspective on the situation. All right, and obviously my perspective is very clear. This is absolutely disgusting behavior. I don't care that the fighting game community was locker room nonsense where people got away with saying nasty. I'll be honest, the language was gross. Everything was gross. It was. There was a very different time in my life when I was into arcade shit and stuff like that. And actually, I would say about the mid-2000s when I started to travel and play competitively in fighting game tournaments, it changed. I actually noticed in the mid-2000s that a lot of that kind of really gross behavior ended. It was really kind of in the 90s and the early 2000s when it was very prominent, and then it all kind of ended at that point, I think, as as we started to get more, I hate to say it, but woke as a culture, things started to change, okay? But it's only until now that these stories are coming out. All I can tell you is my perspective and my experiences with Mr. Wizard as a person, all right? Very, very hit or miss. First of all, everyone knew in this fighting community that he was gay, and no one cared. No one gave a shit that Mr. Wizard was gay. For me, I never gave a shit what anyone's sexual orientation was in the fighting game community. In fact, I was friends with several gay Street Fighter players. They were, we knew they were gay. We didn't care. The Street Fighter community was not about that. It was about everyone was welcome. Now, not to say that there aren't people out there who were biased against that and were disgusting about it. There were. Absolutely. But, I personally never had a problem with anyone in the fighting game community. I didn't give a shit what your sexual orientation was. What does that have to do with your skill level in fighting games, right? But, in particular with Mr. Wizard, there was always something that I questioned. And no one could ever really answer this for me. I'm sure people who are West Coast can answer these questions because I was East Coast. I grew up in Connecticut. I played with players from New York, New Jersey, that area. I wasn't super familiar with the popular guys in the fighting game communities at all. So I didn't know much about Mr. Wizard outside the fact that he was always involved with fighting game tournaments and running fighting game tournaments that were West Coast oriented. And he would also travel with West Coast players and attend other tournaments as well. Okay, but the thing that gets me is when you're part of this fighting game community and you're traveling and you're doing all this stuff, it's usually because you're a competitive player, right? To my knowledge, Mr. Wizard was never a competitive player. He loved fighting games. He obviously was friends with all the top players from Sunnyvale Golfland, but this guy was never a competitor, ever. I mean, I don't think it would be a rarity if you ever look at a tournament result and you find Mr. Wizard was a top-ranked guy. It just seemed to me like he was the friend of the top players. And he would run the tournaments and he would travel with them, but I don't know if he ever aspired to be a competitive player. And in reality, a lot of people questioned that. They said, why is this guy always part of the community? Why is he always running the tournaments? Why is he always involved in everything Street Fighter when this guy is not a top player? Like, who is he? And the answer you always got was, well, he's a friend of the top players from Sunnyvale Golfland, and he's accepted by them as part of the community, despite the fact that he's not a top player. So you just got to put up with the guy. If you don't like him, you just got to put up with him. Okay? And that was the answer you always got. So I knew, Mr. Wizard, I knew him as far back as the early days of Shoryuken.com. I knew him from as far back as early tournaments from like the West Coast, like B5, which was in the early 2000s, which is the time frame where he's being accused for this kind of behavior. And yeah, he ran those tournaments. He was the one doing signups, making brackets, enforcing rules, payouts. He was heavily involved in that shit back then. And everyone had different opinions on him. Some people seemed to think that he was like the nicest guy and said that, no, not a problem with him. And other people absolutely hated his guts. Said that he was a dick, that he would rig brackets and he would do fucked up stuff, right? Personally, I couldn't tell you one way or the other. I didn't know the guy good enough. But I had many dealings with him. Many times at tournaments where, he was telling me what to do. He was in charge, And, there was always the question behind the scenes of why the hell is this guy in charge of everything? Who is he? He's not good at fighting games. Why the fuck is he always in charge? So now I'm out of the fighting game community for many years. And I hear that Mr. Wizard has become the CEO of EVO. And I'm like, okay, I guess. You would think that the CEO of EVO would be someone who was maybe like a former fighting game player who was a top guy, and now he's retired, he doesn't want to compete anymore, but he wants to really do something nice and positive for the competitive community. But I hear it's like Mr. Wizard is in charge. I'm like, okay, I guess. This is like, again, it's like the same mentality of back then. It was like, why is this guy in charge of everything? He was never a competitor. So for me, like that's the only real experience I have. Being a part of the old school fighting game community, there were always rumors. There was always gross shit going on. And you always heard, oh, this guy is doing gross shit here. This guy's doing stuff here. But it was always kind of protected under that locker room mentality of, that's just the fighting game community. That's just how it is. 20 years later, these stories come out and you're like, well, no, that's not acceptable anymore. Now we're going to call people out for the shit that they did 20 years ago. And it's like, damn, I don't even know how to describe it. Now, do I believe the allegations? It's tough to say. Here's the thing. The person that has come out with this story about Mr. Wizard has literally nothing to lose or gain by telling this story. This person is not a known competitive fighting game player anymore. Like back in the day, they were known for being like a player at Sunnyvale Golfland. They were known in IRC chats, for being a Street Fighter fan and a Street Fighter troll or whatever. They were part of the community. At this point, there's nothing. What would they possibly have to gain? With this story, nothing. So the fact that they came out, I have to believe them. I do. I believe this person. I do. I absolutely believe them. Now, maybe it is bullshit. In which case, I'm like, I don't know. But to me, I can't imagine why this person would have come out and told this story. You know what I mean? There's no clout to chase here. You're not going to get anything by being the person who was abused by Mr. Wizard in 2001 or whatever the year was. So I tend to believe it. All right, but like everything, there's got to be due process. There's got to be evidence. You're innocent until proven guilty. So I guess we're gonna see what happens now. But in particular, this one just got to me because this is a community I used to be a part of. I went to Sunnyvale Golfland. I had many interactions with Mr. Wizard over the years. I knew this guy who accused him from talking with this guy a lot in IRC chats back in the day. This whole thing just hits home hard. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. It's fucked up, and I'm glad that I wasn't involved with that fucked up shit. Dogs Like Jake says, why not call other people out now if I heard shit? Because it's all uncorroborated. I wasn't involved. Here's the thing. If I personally was involved in a situation that was fucked up, right now I would call those people out. I would. But I was never involved. As I said, for me, when I went to an arcade, it was to play Street Fighter, not to fuck around with hazing and doing stupid shit like that. When I went to a tournament, it was to play competitively, not to fuck around. I didn't attend EVO after parties. I didn't do any of this shit. You see, all the stuff all this stuff is happening at, I was never involved in. I purposely put myself out of those kind of situations, so that I wouldn't be involved in this kind of fucked up stuff. So I can't talk. It's not as they say, it's not my truth to speak. The people who are involved in these situations, it is their truth to, if they choose to come out and talk about those situations, to talk about them. I'm not going to sit here as a rumor monger and tell you, well, I heard this and I heard that. You know, there's no point in doing that. Because I heard a lot of shit. And I don't want to, you know, I'm not going to be making shit up, or not making shit up, but telling shit that you know, I have no evidence of, you know, at all. So, anyway, it's a fucked up situation. Now people are like, is this the end of Evo? Well, I don't know. Because if this guy's, if Mr. Wizard is the CEO of fucking Evo, they put him in charge, right? They put him in charge. And now he's the one who's accused of this heinous stuff. What happens to Evo? They're going to definitely, you know, someone else is going to be put in charge, you would think. Evo already is in shambles this year. It's online only because of the coronavirus. It's like, this is just the next nail in the coffin, you know? I guess it remains to be seen. You know, these allegations have to be investigated before they can be... I think people should put the fucking flaming torches and pitchforks down until some investigation is done. But again, my take is I know this guy from IRC chats, and I don't know why in the fuck this guy would make this up. I see no point in doing it, right? What does this guy have to gain by telling this story? Nothing. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to accuse a big prominent figure who's rich, you know, of doing it. This is not the case. I don't know what this person would have to gain to making this shit up. So, I guess we'll see. All right. Now, of course, the other big story this morning is something that I have no idea about. I guess there was a popular streamer named Reckful who has passed away. Apparently took his own life. I don't know anything about the situation because I don't know the person. As you guys know, I don't really follow other streamers that much. Apparently this guy was well known and a big prominent streamer. And if that's the case, which it seems to be, because other prominent streamers are coming out and saying, you know, it's true, well, then rest in peace to this person. I cannot speak to it whatsoever because I have zero knowledge of the person. It would be pretty disingenuous for me to try to say anything about them. But people are talking about it in my stream chat, wondering, well, how do you feel about it? I have no feelings on it because I don't know the person. I can't say a single word about it. And it would be inappropriate for me to do so. Okay? Okay? All right. Well, that's that. That's really all I have to talk about on the pre-stream. So I guess what we'll do is we will jump over to we'll jump over to contributions. We'll see what you guys want to talk about today. And go from there. Yeah, I know. I wish we had good news. Everyone's like, what a terrible day of news it is. I know. It's shitty news. I wish we could have a nice balance between like good stuff and bad stuff, but sadly some days it's just shit. And today's just shit. Okay? Okay. Only Iced Coffee gifted a sub to frickin' Bagwell overnight. Thank you, Only Iced Coffee, for the support. Timbo Slice overnight did a cheer. And this is actually a topic that people are talking about today, which is why I saved it for this cheer. He says, today we've gotten first news on what next gen games are going to cost. Get ready, everybody. NBA 2K21 has gone on pre-order for current and next-gen systems, but the next-gen versions are going to cost $69.99 instead of the typical $59.99. Seems like for the first time since the launch of the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 that we are seeing a game price spike. Are you shocked it took this long with the cost of games to make going up in recent years? Do you feel this is too much for games? You know? Everyone's going to have a different take on this. My take is as follows. Value is subject to the individual who purchases the game and plays it and how much they get out of that game. All right? There could be someone who pays $100 for a game and is okay with that because they get so much value out of that game. Maybe it's a game that has tons of competitive multiplayer that's massively replayable, and they feel that that is a good price tag for that game. There could be someone who plays an 80-hour RPG and says that $20 is too much for it because it sucks. You see? it's all subjective. There's no actual objective answer to this question at this point in time. All right. Um, for me, I have played games that were absolutely amazing that were short games, and I paid full retail price for them. Like I remember the one game that I always call out in this situation is The Darkness 2. That was a game that was a full $60 price tag on the Xbox 360. And it was about, I'd say, between 5 and 6 hours long to play through. But the game was great. Every moment I played the game, I was having fun with the game and the gameplay mechanics. The story hooked me, and it was riveting. And there was an ongoing mystery element and supernatural element to it. You didn't know what was happening in the game with the plot. It was great. And to this day, I still think back like, wow, that was a really good game for only $60. You know, I got one of the best stories of the year and great gameplay as well. But it was super short. But I was okay with that. I was okay with paying that amount for a short game because the game blew me away so much at the time. Okay? Now, there's games out there that are insanely long, that are terrible, grind fests that are boring. Is that game worth $60? You know? So when you look at the game, it's going to be definitely, in my opinion, dependent on the content of the game and how you feel about it, you know? It seems like maybe it's a possibility that all next-gen games are going to be priced at $70 instead of $60. Just recently, I forget who it was, but it was someone who was like the head of a AAA gaming studio came out and said, in the future, we're going to have to do something about AAA game development because it's too lengthy and too expensive and it's not viable anymore to be putting in millions of dollars and years of development time to put out a game because the game has to be 60 to 80 hours long. We can't do this anymore. What we need to do is we need to start making shorter AAA games that are like 15 to 20 hours, but make them outstanding, and then we could pump them out quicker and on lower budgets. Okay? Now, some people had interesting takes on this. Okay? Some people were just like, well, get better. Get better at what you're doing. It's not on the consumer. You shouldn't put the burden on the consumer. The burden should be on the game developer. You're the one making the product. So if you're complaining that making good games is a problem, your process is broken. Fix your process. Get better at what you're doing. Don't complain to us. It's your fault. Others flipped the switch and said, well, you know what? Fair enough then. If it really is this big of a deal, then don't make longer games. You know, a lot of gamers in the modern era complain about the length of games. They say the game's too goddamn long. I don't want to sit here playing a game for a month. You know, I'm looking for a digestible, fun experience I can beat in a few sittings or a few days. I don't want to play a game that's 80 hours long because there's a 60-hour grind to beat it. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Mafia 3. Mafia 3 was a game that had a very good 10-hour story and a very bad 20-plus hour grind of repetitive garbage gameplay. And the game sucked because of that. That game could have been abridged and had a ton of garbage content cut out and been a much better game, but the game, you know, was not like that. And because of that, I guarantee you the game studio would say, yeah, we had to put all this extra money and dev time into it to put that content in that no one liked. Okay? Games need to be more streamlined. They need to be more to the point of entertainment factor and not just gameplay, raw gameplay factor. You know what I mean? Just because a game's longer doesn't mean it's better. It's quality over quantity. I would rather pay a super high quality 10-hour game than a really boring 40-hour game. I'm sorry, I would. So, you know, and of course, that's all in the eye of the beholder. There may be people out there who subjectively say, no, I care about quantity over quality. But it seems like the game devs are saying, we can't do this anymore. This model isn't working. Maybe at one point it did, but putting out these extra long games now isn't working anymore. We need to do something to change the model. All right? Now, if that is charging us more money for the games, which it seems like it's going to be this next console generation, then so be it. But the games better be damn good. If you're going to charge me more money for the same experience or an even subpar experience from what I already got last generation or 2 console generations ago, that's not acceptable. And again, you know, the Sony head or whoever it was complaining, seems like they're trying to put the burden on the consumer. But that's not how business works. Business is you have to get better at your business. not you blame the consumer for the fact that your process is bloated and broken and you make games that aren't fun, you know? So if I'm going to pay extra, I'm expecting more, you know? And admittedly, that console generation, when we made the jump to the Xbox 360 and the PS3, there were many jumps in technology. We had this online matchmaking, constant online gameplay, online communication through voice chat and other kinds of chat. There was a significant jump from the PS2, GameCube, original Xbox era into the Xbox 360, PS3 era. I do feel that the price tag increase was justified for those games. Was there a significant jump from the Xbox 360, PS3 to the PS4 and Xbox One era? Not in my opinion. That era was so focused on stupid gimmicks like the Kinect and stupid shit. You know, do we have graphical improvements? Yes. Do we have games that in general have more open world content? Absolutely. But did we really get groundbreaking experiences and improvements that really made it feel like there was advancement? No, not really at all, in my opinion. Quite the contrary. I felt that a lot of games were rehashes, a lot of games just treaded the course of safety, and a lot of games were just not living up to the potential they were supposed to be at. So, to me, when you tell me you're going to charge me more money for the next-gen consoles, great, go right ahead, charge me more money for the games, but these games better be better. You know? Don't expect me to pay more for something that's less. That's my opinion on it. Okay? Other people may have a different take. But that's my take on it. Golden Colts cheered and said, I turned 28 in a month. Am I officially a boomer? Yes. Yes. Golden Colts also cheered again and said, the guy wonders if you wear V-necks. Someone's wondering if I wear V-necks. I think I own one V-neck shirt. It's a t-shirt. It's like an undershirt that I wear at night, a night shirt. That's about it. It's like the only V-neck I own. So. All right, Lies of Her Soul did a 100-bit cheer. And he says, apparently there will be a second round of stimulus checks coming in a couple of months. I don't know. I've heard a lot, and I've heard a little, and I keep hearing there may be more stimulus checks. There may be more stimulus checks. And to my knowledge, nothing's been approved. It's just the government talking, and never getting anything done. I guess what they're saying is there's a bunch of bills that would have given more stimulus checks sitting on people's desks, and no one's doing anything about it. Like, they're just ignoring them like they don't exist. I don't know. I don't know what to believe. But to my knowledge, no, there's no guarantee we're getting any more stimulus anytime soon. RPG fan cheered. He said, wait, you said you did a command or something. I didn't know you were a programmer. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Thanks for the cheer. Liza Versol cheered and said, who do you think is going to win next week, Adam Cole or Keith Lee? Well, the NXT and North American titles are on the line. I have no idea. I haven't seen any wrestling now. Like I said, since WrestleMania, I don't know where the plot lines are with these guys. I have absolutely no clue what's going to happen. Alice Telemon cheered. He says, Balrog can use his turn punch move twice by holding all 3 punch buttons and kicks and letting go of each set in turn. This is working Super Turbo. Can you try to land a max level turn punch tomorrow? Could you do it? Possibly. But I would never do it. That'd be really dumb. Then you can't attack. You can't attack if you're holding all the buttons down. And the thing is, if you're charging 2 turn punches at once, the opponent absolutely knows what move you're going for because you can only go for a turn punch. So that would probably be an incredibly bad idea in a competitive match. All right? Can I go for a max turn punch tomorrow? If there was like a challenge to do it or a bounty to try to do it, I guess I could. But it's incredibly hard to do. In Super Turbo, it takes ridiculously long to charge a final turn punch. And when it finally comes out, chances are it ain't gonna hit, or the enemy's already so super weak because the round's almost over by then. You know what I mean? Super Turbo, everything hits for tons of damage. So it's actually hard to land the turn punch because you have to charge it so long. Chances are no one's alive by the time it's charged. It's a very rare occurrence. The only situation where maybe it would work, where you could charge it easily, is if you're fighting someone who's ranging you with fireballs. In which case, the turn punch will never hit because the fireball will stuff it. See? But, if you really wanted to see me try to do it, I guess I could try if you remind me, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's very unviable. Not very competitive savvy. Liza for Soul cheered again. So, how do you like your coffee? Me personally, I love vanilla lattes with extra espresso shots. No. I don't think I've ever had anything like that at all. I'm a basic guy when it comes to coffee. A coffee with some sugar and a little bit of cream, and you're done. A lot of the times I'll just drink it black with sugar, no cream. Ponage 101 to me $2.36 says, here's my contribution for today's vest streak. If only 98 others would tip $1 instead of bitching and complaining. Yeah, well, Ponage, what you got to realize is something here. The people who sit in the chat and talk about the streak most are actually people who never contribute to the streak. It's just true. These are people who are here just for drama purposes. So they sit here and they'll spam my stream chat about the streak, but they'll never contribute to the streak because they're not here to contribute. They're here to be the peanut gallery, to screech about it constantly, but not to actually make it happen. And I understand that, you know. I'm not gonna ban people or whatever for that unless they just completely derail the stream, which I've said multiple times over the last week. I'm not allowing that to happen. If people come in here and are gonna say streak, gotta hit the streak, gotta wear the vest, gotta wear the streak, they're gonna get timed out and then banned. It's derailing the stream. There are people on here who want to talk to me and have fun and not have it be all about the streak constantly. And I don't want the stream to be all about it. So you got to follow the rules, you know. So there you go. RBG fan did a 100-bit cheer. Biggest cheer of the day so far. He says, wait, Phil, don't you say you used to call out the tournament organizers for messed up stuff? Sounds like people should have listened to you. I did, but it certainly was nothing like this. Some of the things that I've called tournament organizers out for are being very deceptive in their practices. For example, saying that the prize pool was going to be one thing, and then when they actually paid out the prizes, it wasn't what they promised. That happened at the B5 tournament that I attended, which, yes, was run by Mr. Wizard and others, but he was one of the people in charge of the B5 tournament. I've called them out for cheating, and what I mean by that is they're running a tournament, and oh, look, these two guys who are prominent West Coast players are going to have to fight each other next round in the tournament. Well, we don't want the West Coast players to eliminate each other because we like them. We're from the West Coast too, and we run the tournament. So we're going to float them. For those who don't know what floating means, is you remove someone from the bracket where they're supposed to play and you put them somewhere else where it's more advantageous. So I'll give you an example. Not to say this specifically happened, but let's say there are two prominent West Coast players, Alex Valle and Alex Valle and Mike Watson. All right, I'm just throwing two random names out there. And let's say they're the two top guys at the tournament from the West Coast. And the people who are running the tournament are from the West Coast of the United States. And they want to see the West Coast players do as good as humanly possible. So what they would do is, oh, God, well, these guys are supposed to play each other. No, we'll change that. Float one out of them and put them on the other side of the bracket to fight someone else from the East Coast. You know what I mean? So that way they're not eliminating each other from the tournament. But, on the flip side of that, when, let's say, for example, two East Coast players are going to play each other, that's fine. Let them all eliminate each other off so that they don't make it to the finals of the tournament. So in a lot of ways, the tournament organizer, by doing shit like that, can actually doctor and change the outcome of a tournament. Because it could be you put all the East Coast guys against each other, they all eliminate each other off, and then the top 4 players are 3 West Coast and 1 East Coast because they fucked with the brackets. You see, that happened a lot. I'm not exaggerating. That happened a lot back in the day. And I'd say it again, at that B5 tournament I attended, that's exactly what happened. Here I am. I flew to a tournament. It was supposed to be the final major Marvel vs. Capcom 1 tournament ever held in the United States. After that, the game was going to be retired because MVC2 had come out. I was flying out there to play competitively. It was me and Jose Feliciano from Connecticut who were invited to play in this tournament to represent Connecticut. We had to play each other in the tournament. Wait, what? We flew out here together from the same state. We play each other every fucking day in tournament play. And we flew out here to fight people to represent the East Coast, and you have the East Coast players play each other and eliminate each other. Yep. That's the kind of shit they used to do. That's exactly what... So I paid money to fly to California to play the guy who I play every day at my local arcade. And they didn't care. They didn't give a fuck. We complained, they didn't care. They're like, nah, we don't give a fuck. Oh well, if you don't like it, you can leave. Gee, thanks. That's real respect for people who come and attend your event, right? There was also, again, this is just a few of the things that used to happen. In tournament play, keep in mind back then it wasn't console based, it was on arcade machines, okay? So you were at the mercy of whatever machine you were told to play on. So you were at a tournament, if you were not a favored player, you would be told to play on the cabinets that people know are shitty. We know that joystick's kind of loose and doesn't work very well. We know those buttons are kind of finicky. Well, we don't like the East Coast players, so let them go play on that cabinet, and let the West Coast players always play on the cabinets that work well. No lie, this happened all the fucking time. This was commonplace practice at tournaments back in the day. This is the kind of shit that I would call out, okay? And they didn't like that. They don't want to hear truth. They want to, to them, they're infallible. They were the top dogs. They ran the biggest tournaments. And how dare anyone criticize them or call them out for misconduct or anything like that. Back then, there was no whistle blowing. If you whistle blew, you were a hated person in the community, because how dare you say that the people in charge were not doing the right things? That's how it was. And by the way, the flip side of that was, if you kissed ass, you were highly favored. You would become one of the chosen people who was liked by the people running these tournaments, and you would get all the favoritistic treatment. That's exactly how it went down back in the day. And that's why when East Coast players like Justin Wong started winning every tournament, that's why it was such an underdog story, because it was like against all odds. The people who were in charge of tournaments didn't want people from the East Coast who weren't prominent West Coast Sunnyvale Golfland players winning tournaments. So it was against all odds that a player like Justin would come out of nowhere, become the top player in the United States. And he still did. Damn straight. So there you go. Okay, continuing on. Lars First Soul Cheer says, good thing you didn't fuck with hoes back then. I didn't fuck with anything. I stayed away from all nonsense. I wasn't about that. I played Street Fighter for the love of the game, period. I wasn't there for hazing. I wasn't there for partying. I wasn't there for fucking around and doing stupid shit. I was just there to play the game. Apparently other people were there for other reasons, but that was not me. Only Iced Coffee, give it a sub to El Grey Zorro. Congratulations, El Grey Zorro, and thank you, Only Iced Coffee, for the continued support of the channel. Alice Televan cheers and asks, have you ever played guys like L.I. Joe, Ryan Filipino Champ, Ramirez, Ricky Ortiz, Max, Seth Killian, etc.? Some of those. Seth Killian, I played in tournaments, documented. It's recorded. It's on the internet. That was Evo East 2007. I played him in the finals of Super Turbo. And won. Never played L.I. Joe or Ryan Filipino Champ. Want to know why? They were after my time. That was the Street Fighter IV era. That's when they came to prominence. They were not competitive players before that. And I've never heard of them before that. I know who they are now because you hear their names thrown around all the time for being top Street Fighter IV players. I don't know who they were before then. I never played them. Ricky Ortiz, of course. Ricky Ortiz is OG. Ricky Ortiz has been around just as long as me, if not longer. And was always a top player in whatever game he played. So I've definitely played him many times. And he always whooped my ass. I don't think I've ever beaten him in tournament. Never played Maximilian. Maximilian is a very prominent fighting game content creator. But to my knowledge, he was not a top-level tournament player, especially in the circles where I ran, which was Street Fighter. I know that he was more into Killer Instinct and other stuff like that. So maybe he was known for that. I have no idea. But he was never known in the Street Fighter community when I was a part of it. Okay? Alice Televan chooses, if you were asked to run the Street Fighter brackets at EVO against a decent pay, would you? Would I become a professional tournament organizer and runner? Let me put it this way. I could do it. But I would never be able to do it. Because of who I am, there would be far too much controversy involved. And the moment I touched a bracket, people would be yelling and screaming and complaining that there was rigging and shit. Even though I would never do that. I was actually the complete and polar opposite. I never did any kind of favoritistic treatment whatsoever when I ran tournaments. Not once. If you were not there on time for your match, you are disqualified. I don't want your excuses. I don't care if you're a prominent player. You can fuck off. You're not getting prominent treatment. Right? If you don't want to play someone in your bracket and you're begging me to get a float, tough shit. Tough shit. I don't care. The game is the game. The brackets are the brackets. There's no special rules for certain players. That's how it always was with me when I ran tournaments. Some people really, really liked that Because to them, it was a breath of fresh air from other tournaments they went to, and there was always the same shenanigans of the same top people getting special treatment no matter where they went. All right? But a lot of people didn't like that because they were the top players or in that inclusive group who they wanted to be a part of the top player community, and they didn't get that special treatment, and they didn't like me for that. So, but no, there's no way I could ever run tournaments now. Are you kidding me? With the amount of shit throwing there is all over the internet about me, when I'm not even involved in it, these people just make shit up constantly. Do you really think I'd be able to run a tournament now? Are you out of your mind? It would never happen. Dooley, what's going on, Dooley? He cheered. He says, do you plan on playing Erica? It's a free on PS Plus this month. It's more like an interactive movie with quite an interesting plot. Would be interesting to see you play it. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. If people are interested in it and it's free, I'll get it. Maybe I could at the very least, snag it since it's free on PS Plus. And then in the future, if people want to see me play it, I'll play it. But I don't know what that is. What is Erica? Everyone's saying, fuck that game. Why? What is it? I don't know what it is. Never heard of it. Erica. Fruits07 cheers. Says, Phil, why does the sex scene in The Last of Us 2 aggravate you so much? Because it doesn't need to be in it. I already explained myself immediately after it happened. In The Last of Us 1, there was no sex scenes. There was some pretty gruesome violence, but there was not excessive gruesome violence to the point where the game feels like fucking torture porn in parts. The game was more about good writing, solid gameplay elements, and really great graphics. And it became Game of the Year in my mind because of that. This game said, no, we've got to include every cringeworthy thing possible. Every cliche scene, every cringeworthy thing. We got to just shove it all in there. You know? It's sad because the last game proved you don't need that crap to be a good game. This game said, fuck that, put it in anyway. So, that's my problem with it. Eric, tipped me $1. And he's talking about inflation of the dollar. That's great, Eric. I don't want to talk about inflation of the dollar. But I appreciate your dollar tip. I really do. Thanks for the help. Only Iced Coffee gifted us up to Fruits07. Congrats, Fruits07. Thank you, Only Iced Coffee, for the ongoing support. Lives for Soul cheers. Says God of War 2018 had no loading times. Besides when you die or start the game up, first of its class. Yeah, it was outstanding in that regard. Seriously, it was really good. A disgusting name to me $1.01 and said, I just got approved for my first apartment today. I'll be living by myself in a one-bedroom apartment. Tips or advice you have for time moving out of your parents' place. I've done this many times before. I'll give it to you in a nutshell. Number one, get a really good alarm clock. Preferably one that will actually ring twice for 2 different times. So that way, if you sleep through the first alarm, you have another alarm to wake you up. Because you will not have anyone to wake your ass up if you sleep through your alarm. You will be late for work and you'll get in trouble. Okay? Lists. Make lists. Lists are super important for important things. Unless you have a mind like a steel trap, you're going to need to remember important shit. Like, when do I pay certain bills? Right? What do I need to go shopping for this week? Don't just rely on your memory to remember that shit. You need to make lists so it's easy to figure stuff out after the fact. All right? And always have contingency plans and emergency things on hand. If you're living alone especially, you know, what happens if you fall and break your leg and now you can't get up? You know, you have to have ways that people will know that something happened to you so that you don't end up being fucked over by something. What if you get really sick and you can't get out of bed? What happens, right? So for me, when I lived alone, I always had it so that people were checking in on me every once in a while. And if they didn't hear from me for a while, obviously that meant something was wrong. You see what I mean? So there you go. So thank you to a disgusting name for the dollar tip. Hopefully that advice helps you out. Only Iced Coffee did 100 bit cheers. Any coffee or breakfast this morning? This morning I'm having a Mio water. That's it. No food, just Mio water. Eric tipped me another $1, talking more about let's see, the value of the dollar and manipulation. I don't care. But thank you for the dollar tip, Eric. I appreciate that. Obviously, this guy's trying to completely derail the stream with stuff that has nothing to do with anything. Only Iced Coffee now did a 200 bit cheers. I'm almost up to 100 total gifted subs to the channel. That is much appreciated, Only Iced Coffee. I mean, everyone's noticed your positive contributions to the channel, so thank you very much for that. I mean, just a day or two ago, we were down around like 650 subs, and now look where we are, right? In fact, I need to update that. Chances are the subs might have actually gone up here on the pre-stream. All right? All right, so, by the way, I'm going to turn on my air conditioner because now it's getting very stuffy and hot in here. So I got to turn it on, even though I don't want to. I got to. Shout-outs to the top contributors of the week so far this week, okay? First of all, thank you to the top cheerers of the week. We actually have a big tie here between Nonsense Gaming Live, Ninstar Rune, and Lice for Soul. They're tied for 8th place with the cheering. In 7th place, we've got Atlas Telemon. 6th place, DSP and Wings, who's nicely banned from the chat because he was spamming stuff about Wings of Redemption. In 5th place, Magnus Flamebeard. We got a tie for 3rd place between Shadow the Hedgehog and Only Iced Coffee. Nye Morgan and Ace Best are actually tied for 1st. This is like the week of ties right now. Like, there's like 3 or 4 ties. Holy crap. Well, there you go. Thank you guys for your cheers so far this week and the support. I appreciate that. Alice Telemon just cheers that if you could choose between a show up and play old school offline Super Turbo for a day, who would it be and why? Oh, if I could choose anyone? I don't know, dude. I can't answer. That's a question. I'm so out of the loop in the competitive fighting game community. I mean, I could go back and tell you about people who I played and really enjoyed playing against. Like, obviously, John Rambo is one of them. I could tell you the Graham brothers from the West Coast. Really nice guys, both top Super Turbo players. Obviously, some West Coast players who are really nice, like James Chen is one of the nicest guys I ever met in the Street Fighter community. Seth Killian, one of the nicest guys I ever met in the Street Fighter community, and they're both outstanding Super Turbo players. You know, you might argue I would probably want to play Valle, and here's why. Because we're 1-1 in tournament play. He completely and utterly destroyed me in 2006, and then I beat him in 2007. So it's kind of like we're 1-1, and when the set never ended, so it'd be cool to like have a definitive ending of a set in tournament play. Although I get the feeling at this point he probably beat my ass, because I don't play competitively anymore. And of course, Tokido, who I've never beaten at all in competitive play. I would love to get revenge on him, but I probably never would. He probably whooped my ass. So, Psycho Break has subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Psycho Break. And Only Iced Coffee gifted a sub to Stinkin' Burrows. Congratulations, Stinkin' Burrows. So thank you to the following people who have gifted subs this week. Ultimate Cloud gifted a single sub. Lunabot and Golden Nobles each gifted 2 subs. RPG Fan 32 gifted 7 subscriptions. And Only Iced Coffee has gifted 12 subs so far this week. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for the support. I would like to actually briefly check here and see how we're doing on sub count. 683. So we lost subs this morning. It's completely... Actually, we didn't. We went up. Never mind. I was going to make a joke about losing subs, but we actually increased, so I can't make the joke now. 683 subs. Shit. What is going on? There. I couldn't get it right. I kept deleting the wrong thing. Okay. Alright, guys. So that is it for the pre-stream. Let's take a break. I do have to use the restroom, just to forewarn you. It's going to be a few minutes. But when I return, it's the continuation of The Last of Us Part 2. As I said, we're in a portion here where Abby and Lev have teamed up. They're trying to head to the hospital to get resources to go back and help the girl. I forgot her name. But the girl whose arm was completely smashed by the fucking scars. And I don't know where the game goes from there. But we're only in day 2. And for Ellie, there were 4 days in Seattle. So you have to think there's 4 days for Abby too. So we're a good portion in, but we'll see what happens here. All right. Thank you guys very much. I shall return shortly. See you in a bit.